Call it a new name.
Oh, you mean Frisky?
Frisky, yeah.
Frisky.
Oh, he's a nice cat too.
Frisky. I like that name.
Yep, looks like it. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul. And tonight I'm getting a feedback. You have yours? Not sure why. Y'all bear with me for just 1 second. Muted it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right here.
No. Here we go. Okay. I'm still getting feedback.
One of your note takers is not muted. Only one is.
Okay, let's see if I can mute this. Here we go. I still get feedback. I'm not sure why. Okay, well, let's just go on. It's so strange. Y'all bear with me. Let me check my settings here on this Apple. It's probably the off. What are these? Yeah. Okay. Well, this is really picking up like crazy. So let me turn this down. At least I won't notice. Can y'all still hear me okay?
Yes.
Let's try this again. Hello, everyone. Well, this could drive me crazy.
Okay, we got time. You can figure it out.
Oh, that's strange. Okay, well let's just go on. We'll have to put up with it. All right, tonight we're going to continue our study, paper 136. Let me take one of these out. Maybe it won't be as bad. And we're on page 1514 in the original book. I'm going to be nuts, but by the end of the night. How can I do this?
Well, just take some time and figure it out.
I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm getting a delay and I'm hearing myself I normally don't.
Do you need to reboot?
No, let me see if I can just turn my audio down and see if I can still hear y'all. Okay. Okay, let's try this. That's a little better. Say something, Rodney.
Something.
Okay,
Hello.
that's good. I can live with that. Okay. So we're on 1514, the original book, or 136.4.6 of all the rest of them. And last time we talked about how Jesus went up into the mountains and started his
That kicked in
What kicked in?
your voice.
Oh, didn't?
Yeah.
Ah, I know what the problem is. I'm getting feedback from my hearing thing. All right, let's try this. System settings. I'm sorry. See if this helps a little bit. Is that a little bit better? Is the
Yes,
echo gone?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Can you still hear me, Rodney?
Yeah, no
You're-
problem.
Okay.
No change.
No change. Okay, that's it. I was hearing myself from my Apple iPods instead of my hearing aids.
Hmm.
Okay, my hearing aids are out. Okay, so last time we talked about how Jesus went up into the mountains and he had certain decisions to make about how he was going to progress forward on his mission of teaching. All right, so that's where we're at. So let's start right here on this paragraph. Gabriel had reminded Jesus that there were two ways in which he might manifest himself to the world in case he should choose to tarry on Urantia for a time. See, Gabriel assumed that since the bestowal was finished, that Jesus would just come back, but he decided to stay. So, and it was made clear to Jesus that his choice in this matter would have nothing to do with either his universe sovereignty or the termination of the Lucifer rebellion. These two ways of world ministry were one, his own way, the way that might seem most pleasant and profitable from the standpoint of the immediate needs of this world and the present edification of his own universe. Or number two, the Father's way, the exemplification of the far-seeing ideal of creature life visualized by the high personalities of the paradise administration and the universe of universes. So he could choose his own way or he could choose the Father's way, basically. Okay. You want to take the next one?
It was thus made clear to Jesus that there were two ways in which he could order the remainder of his life, earth life. Each of these ways has something to be said in its favor, as it might be regarded in the light of the immediate situation. The Son of Man clearly saw that his choice between these two modes of conduct would have nothing to do with his reception of universe sovereignty. That was a matter already settled and sealed on the records of the universe of universes and only awaited his demand in person. But it was indicated to Jesus that it would afford his paradise brother Emmanuel great satisfaction if he, Jesus, should see fit to finish up his earth career of incarnation as he had nobly begun it, always subject to the Father's will. On the third day of his isolation, Jesus promised himself he would go back to the world to finish his earth career, and that in a situation involving any two ways, he would always choose the Father's will. And he lived out the remainder of his earth life, always true to that resolve. Even to the bitter end, he invariably subordinated his sovereign will to that of his heavenly Father.
You're muted, Roger.
And that was the purpose of the bestowal in the first place, wasn't it? I mean, basically, to demonstrate the will of the Father over everything else. All right, Rodney, would you take the next?
Yes. The 40 days in the mountain wilderness were not a period of great temptation, but rather the period of the Master's great decisions. During these days of lone communion with himself, and his Father's immediate presence, the personalized adjuster, he no longer had a personal seraphic guardian. He arrived one by one at the great decisions which were to control his policies and conduct for the remainder of his earth career. Subsequently, the tradition of a great temptation became attached to this period of isolation through confusion with the fragmentary narratives of the Mount Hermon struggles, and further, because it was the custom to have all great prophets and human leaders begin their public careers by undergoing these supposed seasons of fasting and prayer. It had always been Jesus' practice when facing any new or serious decisions to withdraw for communion with his own spirit, that he might seek to know the will of God.
So this was his normal process, what to work out things is go to God and discuss them with God.
So can we go back to that page?
We were just not, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, during these days of lone communion with himself and his Father's immediate presence, which was the personalized adjuster.
Right.
However, he no longer had a seraphic guardian angel.
Yeah.
Because he had fused more or less, or
No, because he finished his bestowal. So as far as the universe was concerned, he was good again, the sovereign ruler.
Correct.
So as the sovereign ruler,
he had no need for one.
He had no need for a seraphic guardian.
Okay, cool.
Guardian. Yeah.
I just thought perhaps Jesus's soul would need a guardian,
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
but maybe it's because the Creator guarded himself.
That may be the case, or the fact that since he was totally aware now of his original divinity, that they would feel like they would be stepping on his right of will. Do you see what I'm
Correct.
saying?
Okay.
In other words, his will as the creator of the universe oversteps everything. It comes back to that paragraph it talks about later in his ministry that anything that the paradise creator son's will happen or is immediately. It's almost like magic. If he thinks something, it becomes the case. So, maybe that's why he does not any longer need a guardian seraphim, right? Because when it boils down to it, he's in no danger of defaulting on what he was there for because it was already finished, right?
Correct.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. In all this planning for the remainder of his earth life, Jesus was always torn in his human heart by two opposing courses of conduct. One, he entered a strong desire to win his people, entertained a strong desire to win his people and the whole world to believe in him and accept his new spiritual kingdom. And he well knew their ideas concerning the coming Messiah. So that was number one. Number two, to live and work as he knew his Father would approve, to conduct his work in behalf of other worlds in need, and to continue in the establishment of the kingdom to reveal the Father and show forth the divine character of love. So I guess he felt like the second view was more along the will of the Father, where the first view was would fulfill his own longings to be known by his earthly people, and yet in that case he would be less well known by all the rest of the universe. Okay, because he would be taking the earthly view of things rather than the heavenly view of things. Right? Okay, Diane.
Throughout these eventful days, Jesus lived in an ancient rock cavern, a shelter in the side of the hill near a village, sometime called Bet Addis. He drank from the small spring which came from the side of the hill near this rock shelter.
So he's pretty much self-sufficient during these periods of time because he had the water there, and then he went for food when he needed it, right? Okay. The great decisions. Rodney, would you take this?
5. The first great decision. On the third day, after beginning this conference with himself and his personalized adjuster, Jesus was presented with the vision of the assembled celestial host of Nebuchadnezzar, sent by their commanders to wait upon the will of their beloved sovereign. This mighty host embraced 12 legions of seraphim and proportionate numbers of every order of universe intelligence. And the first great decision of Jesus' isolation had to do with whether or not he would make use of these mighty personalities in connection with the ensuing program of his public work on Urantia.
Can you imagine 144 legions of angels taking part in all this? If he chose that was the case, that'd be
So,
a lot of angels.
How many are in a legion again?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but 144 legions, it's like a 12,000 angels or
12.
something. Yeah.
12
Like that.
legions.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty close. So a lot of help. All right, Jesus decided he would not utilize a single personality with this vast assemblage unless it should become evident that this was the Father's will. Notwithstanding this general decision, the vast host remained with him throughout the balance of his earth life. So they were always there, always in readiness to obey the least expression of their sovereign's will. Although Jesus did not constantly behold these attendant personalities with his human eyes, his associated personalized adjuster did constantly behold and could communicate with them all, with all of them, I should say. That's a lot of angels, right?
Yeah. Before coming down from the 40 days retreat in the hills, Jesus assigned the immediate command of this attendant host of universe personalities to his recently personalized adjuster. And for more than 4 years of Urantia time, did these selected personalities from every division of universe intelligences obediently and respectfully function under the wise guidance of this exalted and experienced personalized mystery monitor. In assuming command of this mighty assembly, the adjuster, being a one-time part and essence of the Paradise Father, assured Jesus that in no case would these superhuman agencies be permitted to serve or manifest themselves in connection with or in behalf of his earth career, unless it should develop that the Father would willed such intervention. This, by one great decision, Jesus voluntarily deprived himself of all superhuman cooperation in all matters having to do with the remainder of his mortal career, unless the Father might enter thank you, independently choose to participate in some certain act or episode of the Son's earth labors.
Now I want to bring something up here and make sure y'all understand this, and that's this. Since the Jesus's adjuster became personalized, he became a personality, right? A personality of Jesus. And in that fact, that put a separation level between him and the universal Father. Okay. I want to make sure that that's clear. That's why they say here, let's see if I can go back to it. All right. In assuming command of this mighty assembly, it says here, the adjuster being a one-time part and essence of the universal Father. You see that?
Correct, yeah.
So the thought adjuster was, in essence, one-time part and a part of the universal Father, full-fledged. That, okay? Since he was personalized, he became a level of separation from the Father.
Well, that's like all of our personalized, or all of our adjusters.
All of us, every
Yeah.
single one of them. So when we fuse with the adjuster, the adjuster will not be wholeheartedly interweaving part of the universal Father as he was before. He will be one level down from that because he's got a personality of some being other than just the universal Father. Does that make sense?
Correct, okay.
Okay, I want to make sure that's clear. So he's still in touch with the universal Father, still the will of the universal Father comes through him and all that, but he is not the same as he was before he became personalized. Does that make sense?
Becomes a separate being.
He becomes a separate being of a personality of himself rather than just the personality of God the Father. Does that make sense? Okay. Rodney, you want to take this one?
Okay, it looked like Gary's.
Yeah, he's there, but he gets the next one,
Okay.
which is just as bad.
In accepting this command of the universe host, in attendance upon Christ Michael, the personalized adjuster took great pains to point out to Jesus that while such an assembly of universe creatures could be limited in their space activities by the delegated authority of their creator, such limitations were not operative in connection with their function in time. And this limitation was dependent on the fact that adjusters are non-time beings when once they are personalized. Accordingly, was Jesus admonished that while the adjuster's control of the living intelligences placed under his command would be complete and perfect as to all matters involving space, there could be no such perfect limitations imposed regarding time. Said the adjuster, I will, as you have directed, enjoin the employment of this attendant host of universe intelligences in any matter in connection with your earth career, except in those cases where the Paradise Father directs me to release such agencies in order that his divine will of your choosing may be accomplished. And in those instances where you may engage in any choice or act of your divine human will, which shall only involve departures from the natural earth order as to time. In all such events, I am powerless, and your creatures here assembled in perfection and unity of power are likewise helpless. If your united natures once entertain such desires, these mandates of your choice will be forthwith executed. Your wish in all such matters will constitute the abridgment of time, and the thing projected is existent. Under my command, this constitutes the fullest possible limitation which can be imposed upon your potential sovereignty. In my self-consciousness, time is non-existent, and therefore I cannot limit your creatures in anything related thereto.
Now, do y'all understand all this, what he's talking about here?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, God the Father lives in a universe that is timeless. There is no time to God, right?
In paradise.
And paradise, there is no time, right? So if God wills something to be, it immediately happens. Okay. And this is exactly what happened at the wedding, doesn't it? Remember, we're going to get to that when we get, a little far down the line. But on the wedding feast, when Jesus wished that they had more wine, it immediately appeared. Okay. Because the thought adjuster has no concept of time, and it was the will of the Father that it take place, and in the will of the Son. So whatever the will of the Son chooses, that happens immediately, and that's exactly what happened with the wine at the wedding.
Same with the healing at sundown.
The healing at sundown. That's right. All that had to happen was the Creator Son thought in his mind he wished he could heal these people, and they were healed, right?
That's right.
Immediately. So whatever the Son wills comes into existence immediately. In the same way with the Father. So that's what they're talking. That's what he's warning him about. Being the thought adjuster, he has no relation to time, just like God the Father.
I'd never caught it before, but it sounds like that now that our Creator is sovereign, then that changes the whole field.
Whole ball of wax. That's right. Right. Whatever the Creator wills happens. Now, think of this. All the healing that Jesus did throughout all his 4 years of ministry. Okay. Every single incident of that happened because of what? Because he's the Creator. If he willed it to be, it took place. Okay. Even though many times he said, if you have the faith, you shall be healed. And all it took was someone who had a little bit of faith, and it was part of the will of Jesus. So it happened, didn't it?
Well, just like the woman that thought all she needed to do was touch the hem of his garment.
Yeah. And that's what he said. He said he felt the power go out of him, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Because the power is the power of the sovereignty of God.
And she had faith.
She had faith. And so it happened. Kind of interesting how all this time and space relates to this. Now, Gary, I know this is kind of short, but can you read this one?
Well, It may not have, it won't take long because I've been practicing speed reading.
Okay. All right, Gary, let us have it, man. Turn your camera on. Let me tell you a little secret. When you don't have your camera on and I go out to make the shorts, I don't have your picture.
Well,
So,
here's the deal. I'm eating pizza.
oh, okay. I want people to see your beautiful face, you know. All right.
Okay. Thus did Jesus become apprised of the working out of his decision to go on living as a man among men. He had by a single decision excluded all of his attendants, universe hosts of varied intelligence from participating in his ensuing public ministry, except in such matters as concerned time only. It therefore became evident that any possible supernatural or supposedly superhuman accomplishments of Jesus' ministry pertain wholly to the elimination of time unless the Father in heaven specifically ruled otherwise. No miracle, mercy, ministry of mercy, or any other possible event occurring in connection with Jesus's remaining earth labors could possibly be of the nature or character of an act transcending the natural laws established and regularly worked in the affairs of men as he lives on Urantia, except in these expressly stated matter of time. No limits, of course, could be placed upon the manifestations of the Father's will. The elimination of time in connection with the expressed desire of this potential sovereign of a universe could only be avoided by the direct and explicit act of the will of the God man to be shortened or eliminated. Excuse
Wait a
me.
Oh,
minute.
you
I
missed the
lost you.
sentence.
I think
Yeah,
I
you
may have
missed
lost
this.
You
myself. Did I
skipped a
misread it?
sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me start here. Where's the sentence start?
The elimination of time in connection with the
Okay. The elimination of time in connection with the express desire of this potential sovereign of a universe could only be avoided by the direct and explicit act of the will of this God man to the effect of that time, as related to the act or event in question, should not be shortened or eliminated. In order to prevent the appearance of apparent time miracles, it was necessary for Jesus to remain constantly time conscious. Any lapse of time consciousness on his part in connection with the entertainment of the divine desire was
definite desire.
definite desire was equivalent to the enactment of the thing conceived in the mind of his creator son and without the intervention of time.
Okay, so this brings up an interesting point. If Jesus is his natural state is not normally time conscious either because he's deity. Okay. So if that's the case, I want to bring something up to y'all. All these people that are waiting for the return of Jesus anytime, right? The end of the world, as they keep preaching it. To Jesus, time is of no essence whatsoever. So if it takes 100,000 or 1,000,000 years before Jesus returns to earth, will it matter to him? No, because he has no time consciousness to be concerned about.
For
Okay,
him, it was just here.
it's just
The way he
now. That's right. That's right. So we're waiting around and wringing our hands over what? Nothing, really. Because the creator of the universe doesn't think in those aspects.
but
Okay.
it sure would It would be a job to stay time conscious.
Yes, all the time. And it's kind of funny too, because let's think about another thing. The adjudication by the Ancients of Days of the rebels. Do you think they're in any hurry to get this done? Probably not, are they? Because they're not time related as we are either. They're not human. They're part of the divine plan, part of the divinity. So it's a whole new way of looking at all of this.
It makes you wonder when Jesus would drift off to sleep, he would, when he first woke up, he would have to think about it.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got to think about time.
I have to think about time. Where am I? What am I? What am I doing here? Where are we at? Type thing.
Where's the coffee?
It's kind of it makes you question altogether if Jesus ever really was unconscious during his sleep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because he had to worry about taking care of the world. So,
Didn't Jesus say he was going to return to earth in the
yes,
Urantia book?
specifically, he said he would return to earth at some point. Yeah.
For what reason? Did he say it for a reason, or just to say, "Hey, how's it going"?
Well, he said when he returned, he would return in power and glory. So maybe he will return after the Lucifer rebellion ends to demonstrate that the will of God always wins out. And not only that, he might, think about this, he might actually return to every planet that rebelled at the same time. You think about that?
Yeah, because he's a spiritual being.
He's a spiritual being, so he could project himself to all the planets at the same time.
And every eye shall see him.
Every eye shall hear and every ear. Yeah.
Spiritual eye.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, well, in our case, it would be a Morantia experience, because the mechanical controllers would extend all the Earth's vision to make the Morantia appearance of Jesus. Well, it's really the spiritual appearance of Jesus, but they would do it in the Morantia form so that it'd be closer to our eyesight so we could see it. Makes sense? And they can make that happen simultaneously everywhere at the same time.
Wow.
So that's pretty heavy duty if you think about it.
Yeah, no difference.
So I'm sitting in bed, waking up in the morning, and I see Jesus appear before me and make his announcement. He has finished everything, even the adjudication. And you would be sitting in your car, and my wife would be sitting at her in her chair drinking coffee, whatever, what I'm saying? Everyone would see it at the same time. All right. Through the supervising control of his associates' personalized adjuster, it was possible for Michael perfectly to limit his personal Earth activities with reference to space. But it was not possible for the Son of Man, that's the physical finite part of God, thus to limit his new earth status as potential sovereign of Nebanon as regards to time. And this was the actual status of Jesus of Nazareth as he went forth to begin his public ministry on Urantia. So he was really what? A superhuman.
Yeah.
At that point. Okay? Okay, dear.
6, the second decision. Having settled his policy concerning all personalities of all classes of his created intelligences, thank you, so far as this could be determined in view of the inherent potential of his new status of divinity, Jesus now turned his thoughts towards himself. What would he, now, the fully self-conscious creator of all things and beings, existent in the universe do with these creator prerogatives in the recurring life situations, which would immediately confront him when he returned to Galilee to resume his work among men. In fact, already, and right before he was in these lonely hills, had his problem foreseeably force presented itself in the matter of obtaining food. By the third day of his solitary meditations, the human body grew hungry. Should he go in quest of food as any ordinary man would, or should he merely exercise his normal creative powers and produce suitable bodily nourishment ready at his hand? And this great decision of the master has been portrayed to you as a temptation, as a challenge by supposed enemies that he command that these stones become loaves of bread.
The point
You're
is him,
muted.
not anymore on that. Okay, the point is that being the creator of the universe, he could just think about bread and it would appear.
Keep on eating. all
Yeah,
day.
but
Huh?
You could keep eating, then.
Yeah.
I would be tempted to have a nice T-bone steak.
I was thinking that myself. Yeah. Let's have steak for lunch. Baked potato, lots of butter and sour cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gary, Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. Jesus thus settled upon another and consistent policy for the remainder of his earth labors, as far as his personal necessities were concerned, and in general, even his relations with other personalities. He now deliberately chose to pursue the path of normal earthly existence. He definitely decided against a policy which would transcend, violate, or outrage his own established natural laws. But he could not promise himself, as he had already been warned by his personalized adjuster, that these natural laws might not, in certain conceivable circumstances, be greatly accelerated. In principle, Jesus decided that his life work should be organized and prosecuted in accordance with natural law and in harmony with the existing social organization. The master thereby chose a program of living which was the equivalent of deciding against miracles and wonders. Again, he decided in favor of the Father's will. Again, he surrendered everything into the hands of his paradise Father.
Okay, so let's think about this. Jesus being the creator and setting up all the natural laws, if he chose to, instead of walking all over Palestine, all over that area, go all these trips they did with the disciples, he could have chose to think about it and immediately appear in these cities without having to walk between it, couldn't he? Because he was the creator of the universe, and he could have taken the apostles right with him. That would have been against his own natural laws, and that would be against the will of the Father. So he didn't do it that way. But it's interesting that he could have, right? All right. Gary, would you take the next
one? Okay, Jesus' human nature dictated that the first duty was self-preservation. That is the normal attitude of the natural man on the world of time and space. And it is, therefore, a legitimate reaction of a Urantia mortal. But Jesus was not conceived merely with this world and its creatures. He was living a life designed to instruct and inspire the manifold creatures of a far-flung universe.
So he had to take into consideration all the other creatures on all the other planets, right? Right.
So, so Roger, I think that he became aware that his actions would be recorded because it would need to be shared with the other mortals in his universe.
Not only that, Rodney, but it would have to be shared over and over and over again for all the generations coming after, right?
It would be all the different,
Huh?
it would be in everything. It wouldn't be in English, it would be in.
Yeah, it would be in the languages of those who were hearing it, and that's the thing too, right?
Yeah.
So not just English. All right. Actually, when he was living here, there was no such thing as English, right?
That's right.
All this was in
Aramaic.
Aramaic. Yeah. Mhm. All right. Before his baptismal illumination, he had lived in perfect submission to the will and guidance of his heavenly Father. He empathetically decided to continue on such implicit mortal dependent on the Father's will. He purposed to follow the unnatural course. He decided not to seek self-preservation. He chose to go on pursuing the policy of refusing to defend himself. He formulated his conclusions in the words of Scripture familiar to the human mind. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. In reaching this conclusion, he regarded to the appetite of the physical nature. As expressed in hunger for food, the Son of Man made his final declaration concerning all other urges of the flesh and the natural impulses of human nature. Now, I'm going to bring something up here that y'all were going to be shocked at. So, do you think Jesus had sexual urges?
Yes, of course.
He did. He was a young man, right? Just like everybody else did. But he chose not to react to those urges, didn't he? Okay. People says, well, did he have sex with anybody? No, probably not, because he chose that the physical nature was just like expressing hunger for food, that his decision was to never let the urges of the flesh or the natural impulses of human nature override his spiritual conditioning or impulses. Okay.
You know, what I don't really understand, I'm kind of confused. This is now in his life, post baptism. When he was coming up and he went through puberty, he didn't have this revelation.
Right.
And there was a girl that was hot for him.
Yeah.
So somehow he knew not to mess with her.
He did. I mean, so he made the decision early on in life that his spiritual life was the most important thing to him, right? So he chose not to make any decision where it would put him in a precarious situation, right? The other thing, too, is because of the mandates of the bestowal, what could he not do? He could not reproduce, could he? So that could have put him in a situation where he would have been able to produce a son or daughter. And that's what things like the things of the line of Christ and that sort of thing. We know that's all poppycock because Jesus never reproduced on this planet. Okay.
It's a good thing, too.
Good thing, too, right?
His superhuman power he might possibly use for others, but for himself never. And he pursued this policy consistently to the very end, when it was journally said of him. He saved others. Himself he cannot save, because he would not.
Say,
Because he would not. what I just said about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rob,
The Jews were expecting a Messiah who would do even greater wonders than Moses, who was reputed to have brought forth water from the rock in a desert place, and to have fed their forefathers with manna in the wilderness. Jesus knew the sort of Messiah his compatriots expected, and he had all the powers and prerogatives to measure up to their most sanguine expectations. But he decided against such a magnificent program of power and glory. Jesus looked upon such a course of expected miracle working as a harking back to the olden days of ignorant magic and the degraded practices of the savage medicine men, possibly for the salvation of his creatures. He might accelerate natural law, but to transcend his own laws, either for the benefit of himself or the overawing of his fellow men, that he would not do. And the master's decision was final.
and that's that. So he made these decisions before he started even in his ministry, right?
You
Gary,
know,
would you? Yeah.
that makes sense. Because if he'd have done that, people would have come to see the acts and
The
not
work.
listen to him.
Yeah.
And
They would have missed the message.
that's exactly the truth. And that's why all these tent preachers that were going around saying that they healed people and that sort of thing. You know, that's why they did such thing, because people came to see the miracles. They didn't come for the faith.
Came to see the show.
That's right. It was a show. Gary, would you take this one?
Jesus sorrowed for his people. He fully understood how they had been led to the expectation of the coming Messiah, the time when the earth will yield its fruits 10,000-fold. And on one vine there will be 1,000 branches, and each branch will produce 1,000 clusters, and each cluster will produce 1,000 grapes, and each grape will produce a gallon of wine, big grapes. Excuse me, the Jews believed that the Messiah would usher in an era of miraculous plenty. The Hebrews had long been nurtured on traditions of miracle and legends of wonders.
So they always came back to the plenty and their stomach, didn't it? Right? They wanted to be fed over and over and over and over.
Of course.
Yeah. He was not a Messiah coming to multiply bread and wine. He came not to minister to temporal needs only. He came to reveal his Father in heaven to his children on earth. While he sought to lead his earth children to join him in the sincere effort so to live as to do the will of the Father in heaven. And that's the whole crux of it, right? Diane.
In this decision, Jesus of Nazareth portrayed to an onlooking universe the folly and sin of prostituting divine talents and God-given abilities for personal aggrandizement, or for
Purely.
purely selfish gain and glory. Oh gosh, I don't know.
Glorification.
Thank you. I got to stop. That was the sin of Lucifer and Caligastia.
That's right.
That's right. They moved to build themselves up, not anyone else, right? All right. Rodney, would you take this?
This great decision of Jesus portrays dramatically the truth that selfish satisfaction and sensuous gratification alone and of themselves are not able to confer happiness upon evolving human beings. There are higher values in mortal existence, intellectual mastery, and spiritual achievement, which far transcend the necessary gratification of man's purely physical appetites and urges. Man's natural endowment of talent and ability should be chiefly devoted to the development and ennoblement of his higher powers of mind and spirit.
So there's always higher goals to achieve, right? Not just not the gratification of ourselves. All right, Gary, you want to take this last paragraph and then we'll stop on that.
Jesus thus revealed to the creatures of his universe the technique of a new and better way, the higher moral values of living, and the deeper spiritual satisfactions of evolutionary human experience on the world of spirit.
Okay, so we're at the third decision now, and we'll take this up next time on Tuesday. Now, I have to give you all a warning on Tuesday. I have to have a procedure done Tuesday morning, and I do not know if I'll be able to talk Tuesday night.
I understand.
So I will be able to, I will send out a meeting notice probably before I go in for this Tuesday morning. And if y'all hear back from me and say we won't be having a meeting, it's because I won't be able to talk. So
Understood.
all right, so y'all.
I suggest you do not get into an argument with your wife.
No. No, then she'll have to teach the lessons.
Sure, wasn't the argument,
I have
that's
to
for
teach
sure.
the lesson.
I'll have to teach the lesson. That'd be great.
All right. So we'll plan on seeing everybody Tuesday. Let's say our prayer of acceptance and we'll shut off for the night. All right. Rodney, your turn.
Okay. Prayer of acceptance. I believe that God is my paradise Father, and that only by faith am I saved. No sacrifice is necessary. By the same faith, I became a child of God, and know that all men and women are my brothers and sisters. We know the Son of God, the sovereign of our universe of Nebadon, is Christ Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. By allowing the will of God to become my will, I will someday stand in the presence of the Paradise Father. In the name of Christ Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen. And do y'all know what today was?
Jesus' birthday.
That's right. It was Jesus's birthday,
It
August
is.
21st, 7 BC, right?
Yeah.
At 12 noon.
12 noon. That's right. So happy birthday, Jesus, and throughout the world. Happy birthday to everyone out there. All right. Y'all, thanks for joining us. We will plan on seeing everybody Tuesday if the creek don't rise. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Thank you, Roger.
You're welcome.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.